All right, hello everyone. Thank you for being here. This is Goose Auto Works, and this is what we're doing today. So jumping straight into it, guys, this is something that once you start kind of looking for it, you'll notice it more often than not, and that is the peeling finish on the running boards for these F150s. And I've done a little work off camera already, and I will go over that and get you up to speed on what I did and how I did it, including removing a few of these already. Those aren't missing, they're just off for right now. And along with the running boards, I will be going over the front tow hook removals. I am going to refinish these in a red. One of these, if you saw my introduction video for the truck, had like electrical tape on it, and the other one was Plastidip, and it just looked horrible. So I'm going to redo those, but kind of show you how to get those off as well. All right, so removing these running boards couldn't be much easier. There is a bracket in the front here, as well as one in the rear, and there are just 2 bolts in each one holding these running boards on. You could take off the whole bracket if you wanted to, but I was using these as a little step in the meantime while the running board was off, and it's just a lot easier just to take those 2 bolts off, so that's what I recommend doing. So moving on to the tow hooks, for those of you interested in that portion, there is a video that I found that does a pretty good job explaining how to get these off, but I'll be honest, I was not able to remove them the way that they said in the video. So I will go ahead and link that in the description so you can use that as a reference as well. But I'll go ahead and show you what I had to do to get them off, and hopefully armed with both of those methods, you can make pretty easy work of it. Okay, so as far as the anatomy of how these are installed, there are 2 bolts under here. This one in the front needs to be completely removed, and then the one in the back just needs to be loosened up so that you can slot this over, pull it off, and then pull it out. The problem comes from this little trim piece here, and while everything's installed, it completely covers this front bolt and effectively covers this second bolt in the rear, and I could not move this out of the way far enough to be able to access this front. So what I ended up doing, I took a ratcheting wrench like this and then just came from the back, fitting over that front bolt and then working it off that way. So it is slow progress, but it's still progress. And then obviously this rear bolt is really easy to access, and once you have that loosened up and the front bolt removed, like I said, it's just a matter of sliding this off and down. So next, as for removing these plastic treads, all I'm going to do is use a plastic pry tool as to not mar this up any, and we're just going to get underneath this corner, pull it up, and then do the same with the front, and then so on and so forth for all the others. So I'll go ahead and take care of that and then join back with you for the next steps. All right, next thing to remove is going to be these little end caps here. And there is a bolt in each one. It's a 10 millimeter. So after you remove that, you can just kind of flip it over. Again, using a pry tool, go ahead and push up on it, because it's going to have little slots and tabs where it fits on there and kind of locks in. There are also these speed nuts that's on the bottom of the running board. If these happen to fall and get into the slot here, it's not a big deal. This whole thing is hollow and open on the ends, so you can just shake it out and then put it back on there. At this point, I have cleaned both running boards with dish soap and water. What the dish soap will do compared to car shampoo is obviously it will get rid of the dirt and grime, but the dish soap will also take off any kind of grease or wax that might have been applied to these. And so now all I'm doing is taking a sanding block with some 600 grit sandpaper, and I am leveling off any of the edges where the clear coat meets the finish, or rather where the peeling clear coat is meeting the finish. Sanding with this is going to go ahead and remove anything that's already chipping or already about to come off, because we don't want that on there. And then the edge that we're left with, blending it down into the finish below. Now you'll want to be careful not to actually dig into this finish. You don't want to remove it. You just want to level out the difference between the clear coat and the finish underneath. I did notice that I have a couple places where the finish is chipped underneath, so I got some touch-up paint, so I'll take care of that before I clear coat everything. Okay, so both running boards have been sanded, scuffed, and then cleaned again. They were fully dry, and you could see it in the last clip, but it's worth zooming in on a little bit more. So I mentioned that we need some touch-up paint for that little chip, but then also, if you noticed, as everything was getting wet, there were still very distinguishable coloring differences, and the water is basically going to act like the clear coat would. So anywhere you see a difference in color with water, you're going to see that with the clear coat too. So I went ahead and instead of just getting like a little pan of touch-up paint, I got the Duplicolor here. You could also go to an auto body shop and get this custom mixed if you wanted, but the color here is going to be magnetic, and I'll put that in the description as well. But what I'm going to do is basically repaint over everything, or at least blend in where the underlying finish has been damaged from being exposed with what has been protected. So I'm going to go ahead and get that knocked out, and then we'll come back. So checking in with you guys, there is about 3 or 4 coats of paint and about 3 or 4 coats of clear coat on each of these running boards, and then I primed, painted, and clear coated those tow hooks the way that somebody should have done to begin with, but that's fine, they look good now. And as far as the running boards go, there is a little bit of orange peel on them. A little bit of learning curve with the gun I was using, but that's okay. They look a heck of a lot better than they did before, and given that you're going to be stepping on these, rocks are going to be hitting them, things like that, I'm plenty well pleased with the result. So I'm going to let them finish baking off out here in the sun, and then I will get everything reassembled and we'll see what it looks like. Alright guys, so hopefully that gave you some ideas. You could also do like a spray on bed liner or something. That wasn't the look I was going for these running boards, but it is still an option if you wanted to go that route. For what I need and for what I wanted out of it, this works just fine, and it looks a heck of a lot better than those big chunks of flaking clear that was coming off of it to begin with. So I'm happy with it. It seems to be holding up pretty good. So if any of this helped you out or inspired you or entertained you or anything like that, please consider subscribing. Also, if you want to see more projects with this truck, that would be a good way to make sure you don't miss out. Almost every single body panel of this truck is going to be getting touched, including all 4 corners for wheels and suspension, so stick around if you want to see that. But before any of that, we're going to switch gears and go back to the Mustang for a little while. It's been neglected, and I've got a lot of projects piling up for that. And then once we get done, either jumping back onto this truck or back onto my 02 F150. That's been in storage for a little while. Almost every body panel on that's going to get touched as well, including a new heart to be under the hood. So like I said, if you want to see any of that, please stick around, please subscribe to do so, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
You can